Here it is. It's the toilet special. So here's what's up with toilet dreams. I've had I've had so many I can't count them. And I know that I had them before they started to get really epic and cinematic. Like I know that I had them just as regular toilet dreams. Like I'm in a dream, I have to pee, I have to go to the toilet. But
So
because
here's something I've been thinking about. We're calling them toilet dreams,
yes,
but in my mind, it's really about what you do on the toilet. Like the toilet itself doesn't factor really heavily in my dreams, but I feel like it does in yours.
yes. Okay, so
Okay, continue.
it goes both ways, right? So yes, for me, it's toilet dreams in regards to peeing. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's I'll start with that. Though
Okay.
that's what it's about. It's always about I need to find a toilet because I have to pee. All right. So the first one that I remember being really cinematic and really beautiful is I needed to go to the bathroom. I asked somebody where the bathroom is, and they pointed down the hallway. And it was like in a school, and I walk in, and it's a gymnasium. It's a big open gym, and there's 40 toilets. And I don't know how I know. I didn't count the toilets, but I just knew there was 40 toilets.
Hmm.
There was a line of 20 and a line of 20, and they were back to back, no stalls. So it was just a
Hmm.
giant, it's like one giant bathroom with 40 toilets in it. And I was like, thanks. And then I went and I used the toilet. So it wasn't like, oh no, this is a problem. It was, here's the bathroom.
Hmm.
And then the next one that I can remember that was not a normal toilet dream. So these are my abnormal toilet dreams, basically. Is I had to go to the bathroom and someone says, "Oh, you just go out the front door." And I went out the front door and there was like a person waiting there, and like an old school stagecoach pulled up, like with a horse and a
Hmm.
driver. And they're like, "Here it is." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just go in the carriage, and they're like, "Oh, no, 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 you're up with the driver on the driver's bench." And I was like, "Okay." And then I went up and I climbed up and I sat next to the driver, and we took off, and that was the toilet. That's where I had to
Uh-huh.
pee, and that's where I peed. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And at no point, it never feels abnormal. Like it's
Okay,
only
tell me,
abnormal now.
you're saying these are your epic toilet dreams. What is
Yeah.
a normal toilet dream to you?
Something that feels more normal is when I have to go to the bathroom and there's a public bathroom situation
Hmm.
and there's just something off. Like
Yeah.
the door is too short, or
Hmm.
it's too high off the ground, or the space between the door, the hinge area is really
Hmm.
spacious. So I know that it's off, right? I'm like, this bathroom is
Yes.
not normal. It still doesn't keep me from using the toilet, nor I mean, I know it's wrong. I know something's off, but I don't feel weird about it. I'm like, well, this is the toilet. I just know that there's something different.
This is closer to what I've experienced and what in my very light Googling today I found to be generally the case is the most common is you're going to the bathroom and the toilet is very public, like
Yeah.
peeing in public,
Hmm.
or for my dreams, pooping in public.
Wait, so yours involve
I
poop?
have both. Yes, I have both.
Okay,
Um,
let's get
but
at it.
always gears towards like kind of a very public experience. It's very much like the nudity dreams
Yeah.
where, okay, I have an experience. I have to go to the bathroom, and whatever I'm doing when I start doing it is normal. Like one of the dreams was I was sitting at my desk, and it was at the actual job. I had a desk in a room with six other desks. It was an open office, right? So in the dream, I was in that office sitting in my chair, and I just knew that my chair was also a toilet.
Okay.
I just knew it to be true.
Right.
And in the beginning of the dream, that was fine. And I pooped. And it was only after I finished that when I went to flush, I
Uh-huh.
realized, wow, everyone around me is going to hear the flush and they're going to know. And wait, it wasn't even my desk. I was sitting in a chair on the other side of somebody else's desk. So I was like literally facing someone. I was like this close to this other person who worked in the room with me. And I was so embarrassed to turn around and flush it. And that's when I just knew, like, they're going to hear the flush, they're going to smell it. Like, this is going to be so embarrassing when they realize that I have pooped in my office toilet that is also my desk chair.
Wait a minute. So doing it wasn't the problem. It's when you got to the end and you needed to flush and you knew that was
No,
your
but it was
intention.
one of those situations where the dream logic changes mid
Sure.
dream.
Sure, sure,
Like
sure.
when you think it's normal to go to school with just a top and no bottom,
Right. And then you get there
and
and
like nude from the waist down, and then you get there and you realize that you've made a mistake.
yes. Yes.
And when I looked this up, it seemed like that was a really common theme in toilet dreams. It's about public
Yes.
exposure, and that for a lot of people it has to do with kind of challenging your ego. For me, what I really think it's about, and I know it's different for you, for me, it's imposter syndrome.
Oh, why?
A lot of the time, a lot of the setting for my toilet dreams is at work. Like,
Oh,
it's been in an office or around people that I work with or have worked with, or there was one that was at a school,
yeah.
but it was all around areas of performance
Uh-huh.
and um, places where you seek validation from external sources,
Sure.
a promotion, a good grade, whatever. Like places where I have felt like I'm just afraid people are going to find out that I'm not as good as they think I am.
Right.
When I drill deep down into how it actually makes me feel, that's
Right.
what it is. And it seems like that's generally the case for most people. But I'm very intrigued about you because it seems very different.
Right. So now I've also had office spaces as toilet dreams, right? But this is
Mhm.
before I'd ever worked in an office. I was young and I asked somebody, where's the bathroom? And they directed me to this office and I could see through the glass windows that it was just a room full of desks and chairs, kind of like some of them were facing each other and some of them were turned other ways. And I was like, just, is it past this? Like, do I have to go through this? And they're like, no, you pick a desk. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I just picked a desk and I sat in a chair and I peed. Like that was it. And then now this is a work-related one because I used to work at Blockbuster Video when I was in high school because my
Nice.
friend Mandy Young's father was the regional manager. Shout out to Mandy Young. And we all worked at Blockbuster Video. I wore khaki pants and a denim blue shirt and a really snazzy belt. I had several snazzy belts. But anyway,
Mm.
so if you recall, in Blockbuster, there was an entrance in and an exit out. Like you couldn't
Oh,
just
for
out your
sure.
door, right? And
No, you
so,
can't just willy nilly go in and out whichever door you want at
absolutely
Blockbuster
not.
Video.
Right. I can't remember if I was still working there or what, but I knew I had to pee. And all of a sudden I look at the exit. So right when you go through the sensors, but before you go through the
Hmm.
exit door, there was a toilet just sitting there. Like
Hmm.
no walls, no nothing. And that was it. And I used the bathroom right there. And again, nothing weird about it. Like there's just this sort of like, I have to pee. This is where the toilet is. Here I am.
So
And
there's no point in the dream where you feel like, oh no, everyone has seen me.
no, not that I can recall. Like the memory of it now is that this was this really matter of fact thing. And I think perhaps it's because it's continued to be that way throughout time, even though my toilet dreams, nothing will ever look like that gymnasium with 40 toilets. Like to me, I peaked sort of design wise on that dream and perhaps the stagecoach. I mean, that was very like all of a sudden I
That's
was in a
impressive.
Western. Yeah.
Yeah.
But since then, they've really become more like strangely arranged, large capacity public bathrooms. So you walk in and it's like 50, 60, 70 stalls. Just it's a giant room of stalls. And I visit many of them because there's always something a little Well, because they're always off. There's always something a little bit wrong, and I'm like, oh, well, the next one's gonna be fine. And then at some point, I'm like, oh, this is what we're dealing with. So just get with it, Mina.
But you
And
know, that sounds like my experience at almost every actual public bathroom, right? You just keep going and going and say, well, this is the least worst. I guess we're going to do this. I mean, it's not that much different
yeah,
than real life.
perhaps, except for in these dreams, oh, it's so beautiful though still. They've become obstacle courses in a sense. Like I'll walk into a stall and the toilet will be shaped not like, okay, here's a new thing. I would say in the past 10 years, 12 years, they're no longer toilets. They're designed as like sometimes they're garden bathtubs-ish, right? Where I have to climb on the corner of it and
Hmm.
sort of squat and let it come into the toilet. Or they'll just be these sort of tubes coming out of the ground. Oftentimes, I have to step up several steps to get to the toilet and kind of like angle myself in. They become these real obstacle courses in a sense. Like there are these designs that I don't necessarily understand that they're toilets right away. Like I know that that's what I'm in the bathroom and I know I'm going to use a toilet, but it takes me time to realize like, oh, this is what we're dealing with.
Why do you
And
think that is?
oh, this is so funny because I've been waiting for this day to talk about my toilet dream. And now that I'm here,
It's too much.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. Every single time that I have dreamt about using a toilet and I actually use the toilet, because I don't always fully pee. Like sometimes something keeps me from it.
Uh-huh.
But if I ever just full on pee in the toilet, I will wake up and immediately grab my crotch and think, oh no, did I just pee? Right? So I know
It's
that I'm
finally
having,
happened.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, knock on wood, have not done it yet. Okay, thank God.
Hmm.
But every time I'm like, this is it. I must have done it. So I know that my body is triggering this dream because then I do have to, like, I wake up and realize I do need to go to the bathroom. I think that as I get older, the dream becomes more complex. The toilet situation becomes more complex to help me perhaps not pee in my bed, right? Like, because it takes so much
That makes sense.
time. It has created a
Yeah.
puzzle for me. So it's like, Mina, we have to go. We have to go. I'm gonna make this hard for you to actually do it here because perhaps you'll wake up
Right.
so that we can go. And I do think
What
that
a
that might
beautiful
be a
little
part of
thing
it.
that your brain has created for you.
I
Like,
agreed.
how lovely that it turns it into this work of art,
Yeah.
like these elaborate schemes to just keep you walking through your dream and to keep you from releasing urine all over your bed.
Because it's not just the toilet itself becomes like an obstacle situation. There's so many factors in one stall. Like often there will be there is a lot of dampness already in there. Like I will see
Hmm.
puddles of things, I will see waterfalls of things.
Oh,
Water will just be
wow.
flowing, right? And I'm often trying to figure out like how to maneuver around this to get to the toilet, right? And then one
Hmm.
of my latest dreams, oh, it's so beautiful. It had created something that felt like a treasure hunt, where it was like I was at this fancy movie theater and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom before the movie starts. And they're like, well, you only have 5 minutes. And this is what you have to do. You're going to go down this hallway. You're going to see a man. He has a sign. He's going to point you in the direction. And then you're going to go there. You have to take the elevator up and you have to crank it yourself. And there's going to be a velvet rope when we get there. And you need to make sure that you take every one of these steps because if you don't, you're not going to be allowed in the bathroom. And
I
then at
want
some
this. I
point,
want this to
yeah.
be real. I want to do this. It's like an escape room.
Yes, and at some point, I realized I'd missed one of the steps, and I had to go back, and it involved a trumpet.
Oh.
Like, I think a man with a trumpet was there, and I was like, "Well, this is what I forgot." And then I go back, and I had to, like, round the corner into this, like, glossy bathroom, right? And I was like, "I finally made it." And I can't even remember now if I actually got to use it. I think it did the
Mhm.
thing where it was like, "We're gonna make this really hard for you
Wow.
to get all the way there." I think I woke up before it ever happened.
Okay, so there's two questions that I have. One of them I think you just answered, which was why your brain is creating these obstacle courses for you, and I think it makes sense that it's like a physiological thing that's kind of just turning into this really rich narrative,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is cool. I don't even care that it's just something so like minor and banal that instigates it.
Right.
My bigger question is for the other kind of dreams that you have where it is a more public
Mhm.
situation, why why is your response to this so different than mine and from what it seems like are most other people's and what is a natural response to public accidental urination, which is kind of shame and, well, yeah, just shame. Public shame seems like a real heavy um, emotion there. But yours are different. You're like, well, right, I did
Yeah.
it, and like that trigger doesn't happen for you because your nudity, your naked dreams were also different in that
Right.
way,
Right.
and also in real life, you seem to be more okay with being in the grocery store no bottoms than me.
Right. Right. Right.
We're not on
Uh,
the same page vis-a-vis nude from the waist down at the grocery store. So just in general, are you more of an exhibitionist? Like,
well,
is
I was
that
going to
as a
say,
performer?
I think it has to do with being a performer. I think that decades and decades and decades of being in the spotlight or any in craving the spotlight, like loving being watched, right? Like
Hmm.
I think perhaps that is it. I think there's an ease when it slips into like my subconscious place and my dream state. I think those those scenarios that might be problematic for other people just aren't because
Hmm.
I don't have weirdness about being watched in a sense or
Yeah.
putting on a show. And not that and it doesn't ever feel like a show. Like that's the thing, like it doesn't feel like a show. It just doesn't feel problematic. Like it's just like this is what we have
Right.
to take care of. We have to do this. And some
Well,
of
it's a very
the
vulnerable
yeah,
thing. It's vulnerability, just like being naked. It's exposure. It's something very essential to who you are,
yeah.
but it's something that we, by training, have to hide. My kids are not ashamed of it yet. I'm sure they will be, but that's, there's just kind of a natural. I mean, it's like we talked about with boogers. We talked
Yeah.
about boogers on one episode and about how we both had these kind of shame or fear inducing dreams about snot and
Mhm.
boogers. And because and we had them when we were kids, because at some point when you're a kid, you realize this is something gross that you're not supposed to do.
Right.
However, all of my uncomfortable toilet dreams have happened to me as an adult because they all happened at work.
Yeah.
And even the one that happened at school, I was an adult when I had the dream and dreamed that I had to go back to my grade school for something.
Right.
And
Right.
I like just peed in a
Yeah.
chair because I thought it was a toilet.
Are there other toilet dreams that stand out to you, things that were visually beautiful, things that were terrifying, things that were funny?
For the most part, a lot of them seem to follow the same theme of not necessarily being in a wide open public space, but being exposed to some specific people that I know through work that I feel really vulnerable about being
Yeah.
exposed to. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people that I maybe try to impress,
Yeah.
or that I'm always trying to impress when I'm around them, or just constantly wondering if I'm smart enough and cool enough to be in this conversation.
Right.
When I'm really extra guarded
Right.
or feeling self conscious. The people who make me feel that way are the people who show up in these dreams. And then also something that I forgot completely, but I found a couple of times when I was going through my dream journal was toilet dreams where other people are peeing. So
What?
yeah, in one, I dreamed I was in a bathroom with some other people who were being very rude to me. And one of them, and also this was at work. I was working in some kind of public capacity. So these weren't coworkers. These were just like people who were in my workplace, in
Mhm.
my building. And I was in charge of somehow like corralling all these people. And they were being very rude. And one of the guys peed on the floor just as a sign of disrespect for me because he knew I would have to clean it up. But the other one, I dreamed that I was at a party with Claire from the Breakfast Club, Molly
Yeah.
Ringwald, but she was Claire.
Yeah.
And she had this weird habit where she wouldn't pee on a toilet. She would pee into a container and then pour that in the toilet. And she was really embarrassed about it, but she was kind of confiding in me. And then some other people saw her do it and kind of made fun of her. But then the girl who saw her also revealed some embarrassing thing that she did, and they really
Right.
bonded over it, which is kind of the plot of the Breakfast Club.
Sure.
I mean, that's like the movie essentially, but with pee. So
Right.
there was that. I don't know what that was about.
I think it's the same thing though. Like it's you watching somebody who is quote unquote popular, because that's who she was
Yeah.
in that show, in that movie, being vulnerable and perhaps putting herself in a situation where she
Yeah, that's
could be
true.
seen as, not cool or doing something weird, or like how's this going to
Hmm.
work out for her? Like her exposing herself in front of you. Like I think that could be a part of it.
My oldest kid had a fun story. So it's not a dream, but it still made me think about this episode we were about to do because Christmas is coming up. And so he's 4 and he's just really excited about Christmas and Santa Claus. Like he's a tiny little Buddy the elf. He's just so excited all the time about Christmas and singing jingle bells all day long.
Oh my God.
He sings it so much he has to put in different words. He improvises. He does like a jazzy version, and then he does like a kind of a country version. Like he just does all. He just goes for it.
Oh my God.
And he knows that we put cookies out for Santa, and so I don't remember who brought it up, but I just said, I bet Santa eats a lot of cookies on Christmas night, on Christmas Eve. And he said, well, no, he just has 3. We just put 3 cookies out. And I said, but yeah, but he's eating 3 cookies at everybody's house. That's a lot of cookies.
It's a lot
And
of
he was like,
cookies.
wow, I bet he's got to take a really big poop from eating all those cookies. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Do you think he needs to take a break while he's delivering presents? He said, yeah, I think so. I think he's going to come in our house. He's going to eat some cookies. He's going to drop off some presents. And then he's going to go in our bathroom and poop.
Right.
I said, I'm fine with that.
Sweet.